Hey everyone. So, this week I will be discussing the transits for the week. And I won't be going through every single day, day by day, aspect by aspect. That gets real boring. And not only that, but everything tends to muddle together if you're not a real big astrology head. However, I will be talking about the transits. I will be talking about major things that are happening throughout the week. That will be followed by a tarot card read that gives us more in depth information on what it is that we should be focusing on when it comes to this week in particular. Nevertheless, I'm Perspectives Edge Christian. And you can always go to my website and you can book there as well. All the prices are there, you name it, perspectivesedge.com. And continue to follow me for dailies every single day. And also weekly only on YouTube, you'll find my astrological reports. With that being said, let me shut my mouth and let's get to this week. Well, currently, we start off the week with the full moon in Pisces. My daily for the day, you'll also see me talk about that. But to just sum it up for everyone, this is a releasing moon. The new moon in Virgo was basically trying to get us into a space where we're prioritizing self. Every Virgo season is just that. Nevertheless, we have to look at the bigger picture. The major astrological aspect for the whole entire year is Saturn squaring Uranus. Uranus or Uranus, whatever you want to call it. Uranus is in Taurus, our first house of value, our own ethics, our own morals, our own possessions, our own finances, our own way we do us, right? And Taurus is a fixed sign. The things that you like and the way that you go about you when it comes to your money, your possessions, your finances, your ethics and values and things of that nature are yours. However, Spirit is saying there's some things about us that we totally need to shake from. And it's not easy. How would you feel if somebody say you can't do this with your body? You can't go to that church. You have to go to this church. You can't do that with your paycheck. I say do this. And you look at these people like they're crazy. But sometimes the way that we are going about us when it comes to where we ultimately want to be, Spirit knows best. Spirit knows best. Spirit knows that you want to be at XYZ. However, the way that you're going about it, you're thinking about it, the way that your morals are set up, the way that your spirituality journey is set up, you name it. Some things it's going to be a monkey wrench to that path of ultimately getting to your ultimate goal. Saturn in Aquarius is having us rethink what those social constructs are. How is my relationships with my job, my mother, my daughter, my son, my significant other, my best friends? How am I going about me conducting me in these different spheres in my life? And what is it that I'm still continuing to do today that I ultimately think is going to get me to my goal, but not know that that's the very thing that is in the way to get me to my goal? We have to be willing to surrender and release those things that no longer work. South Node being in Sagittarius, that is literally telling us that we need to drop away some spiritual beliefs, some personal experiences, things that we were taught. We need to unlearn some things. We need to look at our options. We need to look at the details. We need to pay attention to the variety of facts that is coming down the pike that can ultimately get us to where we need to be. North Node and Gemini. We have to think a little different. This full moon in Pisces is conjunct Neptune. On a high end, that is transcendence. That is euphoria. That's bliss. That is the ultimate fantasy. That is imagination. That is unconditional love. On a low end, it is confusion, it is fog, it is deception, it is lies, it is being lost. In my daily, I did say that sometimes life imitates art. Sometimes life gets the inspiration it's looking for through art. But as I said, with the new moon in Virgo and us prioritizing self, there's some real things that came up to the fore. And with this new moon is giving us, full moon is giving us an opportunity to release the things that no longer work into the old plans that we've revised. Tuesday, we're going to have moon go into Aries. We still have Mercury in Libra and Mars. Mercury wants to be more diplomatic, and we're thinking about how we're coming across in our relationships of all kinds. Mars doesn't do too well in Libra. It wants to fight. It wants to get to the point. But Mars is forced to be diplomatic as well. And with Mars being in Libra, its weapons aren't too sharp. It has to use its words. It has to be a liaison. It has to present itself a certain type of way in order to be accepted to some degree. You can't run up into a courthouse with a gladiator outfit on and blood everywhere and yelling at folks talking about this is what you want. There's a way you have to conduct yourself in court. You have to dress the part. You have to speak well. You have to try to understand the other's point of view, even if it happens to be against everything that you're saying. You can feel a certain type of way, but there's 12 other people you have to convince otherwise. And you yelling and screaming and hollering because that's the way you feel is not going to do you any justice whatsoever. Moon in Aries is also giving us the impetus to want to force how we process our emotions and how we feel about a matter. Mercury is going to be squaring Pluto. Pluto is in Capricorn. Most likely you are dealing with other people that are in higher positions than you. And regardless of how difficult it may be to voice your opinion and have to be nice, play nice, regardless of the circumstances. If you're patient and you're willing to listen and communicate with some dignity, you just might get somewhere. That's Monday. No, Tuesday. I'm sorry. That is Tuesday. Let's see, Wednesday. Wednesday, we have Jupiter trining Mercury still. This aspect started last Friday. I like it a lot. Despite the uncomfortable places we might be in when we're dealing with our relationships at hand and everything that I said on Monday, being, Tuesday, being uncomfortable with the situation at hand and presenting yourself in a decent manner in order to be a perfect liaison between parties, whether those parties is yourself and someone else or between two other people and you're being a referee, whatever the case may be. Jupiter is really giving us the impetus to be clear about the bigger picture. The bigger picture is where our goals ultimately is going to be. Sometimes our position is at compromising. It's at a compromising position with what it is that we want to do. Sometimes we don't understand that even the actions that we're taking right now does not align with where Spirit is trying to ultimately take us. You might be in a position where you're trying to drag somebody along with you that is not a part of your life's path. Or you can have somebody forcing you to do something that you totally don't want to do. But how are you going to voice your opinion and or exit the situation? You don't need to make things worse than they have to be. A no can be a no. The other person can be pissed off to the moon and back. However, sometimes you don't burn bridges if you can leave gracefully, even if that means to agree to disagree and go on about your own path. But whatever situation you may be in, stick to your own guns, even if it is uncomfortable. Mars in Libra and Mercury in Libra. People say that people with a lot of Libra placements or people with Libra sun, moon, or rising are liars. And if you understand Libra a little bit more, it comes off that way because these people are over analyzing the other's point of view. They're too busy trying to figure out what will hurt that person and how that person will feel and what this group will think if this group thinks this way. So Libra tends to omit information to try to find balance for everyone involved, including themselves, when sometimes that is not the agenda at hand. The agenda at hand is looking for what best serves you, not everybody else. Everybody is not going to be happy with your plans all the time. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. And sometimes feelings need to be hurt. But do you need to be an asshole about it? No. You don't. Thursday. Pretty much the same thing. The only difference is that you have Moon ingressing into Taurus. Moon is exalted in Taurus. But Taurus has a bigger agenda, and that is Uranus still there, shaking up our own foundations, giving us space to clear out what needs to be there versus what does not need to be there. The nodes shift into Taurus and Scorpio at the end of the year. I think December 20th, if I'm right. And Spirit is trying to put us in a position where we can rebuild the structures in our life that will ultimately best serve us. With Moon ingressing into Taurus, we'll be able to find comfort in the decisions that we are making. We'll get a break. We won't be so forceful about what it is that we want. Moon is no longer in Aries. However, Moon will be eventually, conjuncting Uranus, which is in opposition to Venus. We just might come up against someone that wants it their way, despite what our life path is taking us. I still say be diplomatic. Sometimes bridges does not need to be burned. But you can truly stand firm in what's best for you, even if it is uncomfortable. Even if it is uncomfortable. Even if it is your boss telling you you have to. Even if it is your significant other saying that they're not going to leave. Even if your children still don't understand that what you're telling them is going to ultimately best serve them as adults, but they don't care. You have to trust your intuition. Sun going into Libra is literally bringing light to an area that we need to pay attention to. Sun deals with shedding light on the present to get us focused on the future. Sun does not retrograde ever. Sun going to Libra is going to eventually shed light on the direction that we're going to. Sun, Mars, Mercury. Regardless of how relationships are panning out right now, Mercury going retrograde, we're going to get an aha moment eventually. Mercury will be conjuncting the Sun in Libra, shedding light on these present relationships that we're in. Sun is eventually going to catch up with Mars, and we'll be able to distinguish which direction we want to go into next. That's Thursday and Friday. Friday, we're going to have a grand air trine. Saturn, Mars in Libra, Saturn in Aquarius, and also North Node in Gemini. I think Saturn trining Mars is really going to be a blessing. Either you are totally oblivious when it comes to the direction you're going towards in life with the relationships in tow. Either you are completely going against what is in your divine path, and Saturn will have to put some blockages and restrictions and some delays in your motion moving forward. And it has the help of North Node, our fate and destiny. If it's not a part of your fate and destiny, you will not be able to pass go and collect $200. You'll be sitting there trying to figure out a lesson of why. However, if you're on a higher end of this aspect, you're going to be able to continue to move forward in the direction that you're going. And it's going to be a little bit of strife getting there. But you're going to be able to lay down your plans and be steadily consistent with what that is. This is playing your cards right, patiently. Taurus doesn't rush. We still have Moon in Taurus. It does not rush. Even though it's in opposition to Venus this day and conjuncting Uranus this day on Friday, Venus wants what she wants now, right now. It doesn't want to wait, and she's willing to take the low blow in order to do it. But sometimes good things happen over time and not overnight. If they happened overnight, we wouldn't be able to really appreciate it. And we didn't put in the hard work for whatever it is that we're looking for, we won't be able to really appreciate it. It didn't cost us anything. This has given us the impetus to sit down and actually think about what it is that we want. Am I feeling okay about the decisions that I'm making right now in order to move forward? At the end of this week, we're going to have Mercury going retrograde. So a lot of the things that you're doing, you're either going to get a thumbs up or a thumbs down about the decisions you have made up until this point. Once Mercury gets up out of this retrograde season, I've said it in my dailies last week that if we are patient and we take the time to think and weigh out what works for us versus what does not, and take the steps to do that even in the throes of it being hard for us to do, we will reap those benefits in due time. In due time. But if we don't, trust me, especially now with relationships being on the docket with this Mercury retrograde coming up, when Pluto goes direct, the things that Pluto has been subtly asking us to deal with over the past 6 months, if we've been disregarding it, Pluto is going to go kaboom. Your thoughts are totally going to shift about what you thought was real versus what wasn't, disregarding what you seen the red flags were. This week is totally a week of placating to our goals and what we believe we want to be and the bigger picture, and us ultimately coming into terms with what is it about me that is keeping me from getting there? Or what is it about the decisions that I'm making about the people even in my circle, should they even be there? Once upon a time, you and whomever, variable X, was in a fantabulous situation, and that's the reason why y'all came together. Whether that was a significant other or best friends or a business contract or whatever. But if things has been going south and you know that you want to go in this direction and they want to go in that direction, and it would be better off for you to start splitting ways now, for you to focus on self and what you want to do next, do it. But if you're just believing in a hope, wishing a dream, and you know that everything around you is saying otherwise, if you don't move in the window of opportunity for you to move now, then Spirit is going to shake some things up where you will have no choice but to move. A lesson will be learned, but at what cost? Because you was blissfully ignorant and you didn't want to think about it or do the hard work? If that's the case, do you really want the dream that you say that you do want? Hard decisions need to be made. That's this week. Tarot. Since we start this week out with a full moon, I'm going to use my Urban Tarot deck. It's a heavier deck out of the decks that I own right now. I don't use it much because the cards are so flipping big. I can barely shuffle them unless I shuffle them this way, just like this. Because I can barely grab them. My hands are too small. It's a struggle. So I keep it easy. However, I do pre-shuffle my decks, and I meditate on them for some time before I start pulling. I will be doing a Celtic cross spread, and I will clarify if need be. They want to talk. Lord, I come to you and I ask that my own intellect does not skew the message but enhance the message. I pray that my ministering, warning, guardian, and ancestors help assist this message, that the message is clear, concise, and very practical for the people to understand without confusion. May whoever needs to hear this message, hear this message. Whoever needs to see this message, see this message. Amen. Central issue. Ooh. 7 of Cups in reverse. I like this. I like this. This full moon in Pisces is giving us an opportunity to get real clear on the fantasy versus the many options that we might have or we might not have. 7 is a divine number. 7 of Cups gives me two things. Either a person that is lost in trying to figure out the answers, but in reverse, it gives me that we come to a knowing of what we have to sort through in order to whittle down what direction we're going next emotionally. This is Cups. This deals with spirit. This deals with creativity. This deals with spirituality. Us at a soul level. I like it in reverse. The block this week. 5 of Swords. 5 of Swords for me is when internal strife, petty competition, going back and forth internally. That's the 5 of Wands for me. But the 5 of Swords is when that internal conflict festers for so long, it becomes external. It seeps to our relationships at hand. It's no longer wands, it's swords. Words do cut. Sometimes it can get deadly. It's the block this week. Trying to win at all cost. I discussed this earlier in the astrological speakings of each day of the week. Mars is not doing so well in Libra. Its only way that it can go about doing it is using its words and trying to be diplomatic about it. It can't be running around trying to hit people with a blunted axe. Can you disagree in your relationships of any kind? Yes. But the way you present yourself is going to determine a lot of how you move forward with these relationships. At what cost? At the heart of the matter. The 9 of Wands. This is my PTSD card. This one is, you still got the strength to move on despite the circumstances. You've been beat up 8 times and you have enough strength to get back up and try it again. But I will say it again, at what cost? In this card, it depicts a person in the snow. They've been in that snow for a minute because they got little piles on their shoulders, on the top of their head, on top of the stuff in their cart, you name it. That snow has been accumulating. Are you getting to your goal? Doing the same thing. Pushing yourself, saying that this is what the way it's going to be. When in this week and what's coming up forward with the Mercury retrograde in Libra dealing with relationships, what relationships are you fighting for? Are you getting the results that you're looking for? And if so, at what cost? Are you not tired yet? What do you need to release? Full moon. In the past, Queen of Disc in reverse. This is a queen that's able to do both. She takes care of the whole entire home, and she also takes care of business. In reverse, that lets me know whether you're a man or female, that you're unable to juggle both. If it's not you not able to take care of your relationships and or work, then it's definitely a case of you not taking the self-care to take care of self or prioritize self. above it all, Six of Wands in reverse. This is the Yes card. This goes right back down to the Five of Wands, that internal struggle and strife within oneself. Once we are able to get past the Five of Wands, we get to the Six of Wands. Victory. You know, it's the Yes card. It's the accolades in the accomplishments and list of wonderful things you've done to get to this point. In reverse, not so much. And so far, I see why. If you're not trying to get to understanding the shadow work or the many options in the self exploratory venture that Spirit is trying to put you on to make you better, then any decision that you make, you're not going to know exactly how to get there. If you're not taking the time to get clear and you're dealing with things that are deadly, not necessarily deadly, are at odds at where it is that you're trying to go. The only person that's going to be frustrated doing the same thing over and over and over again is you, because it doesn't yield you the results that you're looking for. You haven't been taking care of yourself, or you haven't been prioritizing business and family and friends and whatever else can be. It's out of balance. In the near future, Seven of Swords in reverse. This is Moon in Aquarius. Learning how to detach from what is no longer serving us. I said it earlier. I said we can step away from things that no longer serve us, but we don't need to yell and scream and holler and fight and cuss and try to get the upper hand at all costs just to show somebody that we can and burn bridges along the way. No, you can advocate for yourself, and you can make it as clear as possible to somebody that, hey, our paths are no longer in the same direction. I hope you all the best, but I'm going this way. And yeah, you can say those things to certain people. It doesn't mean that they're going to take it as gracefully as you, but you've done your part. You got to learn how to put your foot down and prioritize self when it comes to your dreams, your ideas, your fantasies, your ultimate goals, whatever the case may be. And no, everything can't go with you. But if you think that succumbing to what everybody else wants you to do and you continue to do the same stuff, or you're trying to hold on to what has always been there but you won't have room for, doing the same thing, no. Sometimes in order to get clear, we have Jupiter in trine to Mercury, giving us ideas and how to logically make the bigger picture plain. Yes, we're going to step out there and tell people how we feel. Just be mindful in the way that you do it. And if you eventually want to get to that point where you will, just take the time to emotionally detach and look at this thing from a logical point of view. What is practical? What are the practical steps that you're going to have to take in order to get to your ultimate goal? Will your ultimate goal come tomorrow? No. Takes time, but we got to start somewhere. In the approach, Three of Wands in reverse. This is the approach between you and somebody else coming toward you. Once again, the Three of Wands is waiting for your ships to come back. You're actively waiting. You did all the steps in order for whatever it is that you were manifesting. You've made room for it to come back so you can actually place it somewhere when it does show up. But if you're going about situations in your life this way, There's no way that what it is that you're looking for is going to come back to you. You didn't make any wrong. You didn't make the practical steps and took the decisions and weighed the pros and cons or prioritized self into getting there. You'll be finding yourself doing all of the things with no results. You're waiting for nothing. Unexpected. Ten of Swords in the upright. To get to our goal. Endings are necessary. Some cycles do need to come to an end to start a new cycle. Sometimes cycles come to an end, whether you're ready for them or not. But it's up to us to learn the lessons in the meantime. Things are going to blow up. Things are going to come to a crescendo. Things are going to come to a head. However, how do you want to start the new cycle? Do you want to learn the same lesson over again? That's no fun. Or do you want to level up? Whether you want the ending or not, or whether you want to do the work or not, a crescendo is coming. God has given us the opportunity to do what we can within our own means to make the transition that much easier. But if we don't do that, Spirit will definitely shake some things up for you. That's never usually nice, though. Hopes and fears, catch-22 card. Oppression. It's another 10. We might not understand it, but Spirit is trying to get us into a position where we are not carrying the weight that we once were. It's like a kid begging for candy, for dinner. A parent says no, and the kid gets more upset because it wants candy for dinner. But the parent knows, if I give you nothing but candy for dinner, you're going to have an upset stomach and you're going to feel sick and you're going to feel worse than you actually are. It's no good for you. And that's what Spirit is trying to tell us. The way that we've gone about life and the decisions that we've made and the big picture goals that we're eventually trying to get to, some of the things that we're doing in order to get there is not going to be great for us if we continue to hold on to the old ideologies or beliefs or people or jobs or whatever we've had. We have to make space and we have to release some of these things that no longer work in order to get to where we're going. And whether you see that as a benefit to you or not, eventually you will if you just listen to Spirit and drop the dead weight. Outcome. The Star card. This is so beautiful. This is so beautiful. We had 2 full moons in Aquarius before the new moon in Virgo. Aquarius deals with social constructs. We have Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius right now. Saturn doubling down our own accountability and responsibilities we need to take wherever Aquarius may be in your chart. Before the collective is on our own ideas, the way we show up to the collective, our own long-term hopes, wishes, and dreams, how we show up on the internet, what it means to be gay, what it means to be straight, what it means to be black, what it means to be a single mother, what it means to help the homeless, what it means to figure out where you want to be. We have to have faith in Spirit. We have to. We just know that where we're at, we don't want to be. But we also know that some of the things that we have been doing doesn't necessarily align with where we ultimately want to be. And when we get to that position, we need to trust Spirit that what He is egging us to do is where we want to be. Our long-term hopes, wishes, and dreams. Our long-term goals. Why? Just for shits and giggles. Why do we need to emotionally detach? There we go. Lovers. This is either making a heart over mind, a mind over heart decision. We have options. We have to choose where we want to be. Do we want to stay stuck where we're at, or do we want to move forward? But in order to make a clear decision to what we want to do, we're going to have to step aside emotionally in order to make those decisions. Get logical. These are both air signs. Bottom of the deck, what's the advice? We got the 10 of Cups in reverse and the Emperor in reverse. Lastly, the Prince of Discs. I believe this is the King. No, it's not the King. It's the Knight. It's in the upright. This message was more so a warning message of how we get in our own way. If we continue to move forward in our life's path and direction, we are ultimately keeping ourselves from a place where we are emotionally at a place of bliss with not just ourselves. This is not the Nine of Cups. It's not our own personal wish fulfillment. This is with the collective. This is with your family. This is with a larger group. We will be our biggest stumbling block from ultimately getting this. Emperor in reverse. The Emperor is above all the kings. He has a lot on his plate. He got a lot that he has to delegate. He has a lot of responsibilities. In the reverse, he is not confident within himself. He is not delegating what needs to be delegated. He is not taking responsibility for his part. Yet everybody suffers. The entire collective suffers when the king is not, the emperor is not taking care of his business. Is it justified that an emperor that's supposed to be taking care of everybody else, not doing his job, he ultimately doesn't get the happiness that he's looking for too? The emperor can't go on about being a tyrant and a dictator and doing things the way he deems to be so, just because at the sake of everybody else. He'll find himself by himself, just like this. He wants this. He has to be just. He has to be able to listen to the others in the room. He has to delegate not just for himself, but everybody else in the room. And there's some things about himself that he has to let go of. And sometimes that takes separating himself from the collective in order to get clear, in order to make the decisions he needs to best serve everybody in the collective, including himself. But what good is he to everybody else if he doesn't even know where he stands within himself? Or the decisions that he has been making has been the ultimate block to getting his happiness. Last card, the Knight of Discs. This is the the Knight of Pentacles. He's the slowest in the deck. slowest in the deck. It's funny that this guy is depicted as a day trader. People that play around with stocks. You can make decisions, and yeah, there's times of luck. You can make a lot of money in one day. But I worked for Fidelity, and I did 401k and loans. And one thing that they drilled into our head, those who deal with the stock market over the course of many years, not just 2, not saying that you can't make money in 2 years on the stock market, but those who are consistent, they usually see the biggest growth within their portfolio over a course of time. Same thing with you. We want all of the things. We want the perfect relationship. We want the perfect job. We want the perfect vacation. We want the perfect, love life. We want the perfect family. We want the perfect everything. But we have to change our own behavior, our own psychological thinking. But it will take one step at a time and being consistent over time. We have to be patient. Measure twice, cut once. This week is a good week to rehash where you truly want to be, and if your life plan is lining up to your ultimate goal. And if it's not, and you're taking the self-accountability that Saturn is teaching everybody in the collective when it comes to their part. If you know what that is, course correct it. If you know that it's certain situations that don't best fit you, be a good representation of yourself. Be the representative for yourself that one can respect. You don't have to make situations harder for yourself than necessary. You really don't. Don't burn bridges. And sometimes, even if you try not to, doesn't mean that the people in your life is going to react to what it is that you want best for you, the way that you want to. But even then, put your foot down. But don't get sloppy. That's the message. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and you guys will catch me next Monday for a weekly. I do tarot and also astrology natal reads on my website, Perspectives Edge. If you would like more information about that, please check it. Please check it. And I will see you tomorrow for Tuesdays Daily. Thank you. Peace.